Welcome to M&A Unpacked, the weekly show where we bring on experts in MSP M&A, case studies from those who've gone through or going through the process, and top M&A and business minds to help you get deals done faster and maximize the value of your MSP, whether you're buying, selling, or just trying to improve your business. Today, I'm joined by Adam Eiseman, former CEO of the Lloyd Group and now strategic advisor to Network Coverage. Adam, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Mike. I'm honored to be here. Really appreciate the time.
Yeah, so you've had an interesting journey. You have been acquired. You've done some acquisitions yourself, but then you were acquired in December of last year. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah. After a 3-year process, and I'll talk a little bit about how we ended up making a decision to go that path
That's
and have it all
perfect.
to share with your listeners.
Perfect. So first of all, tell us about you, how you started, when you started. Bring us up to speed, maybe, before you started going into into that sell process.
Sure. So my wife and I, similar to a lot of MSPs, started the Lloyd Group back in 1995 as a traditional VAR integrator. And we grew rather quickly. And in 2002, we made the decision to become a managed service provider. And we became a traditional managed service provider focused on the SMB market. We were one of the first Kaseya partners back then, rolling out a number of tools, including Kaseya. And we continued to build that MSP, but generally with sub 50 employee companies. Largest client was probably maybe around 100 employees. And similar to many other MSPs, in 2008, we launched a private cloud. In 2018, we end-of-life that private cloud and moved to third-party cloud services such as Microsoft, et cetera, continuing to build. And around 2015, we were tracking around $13-14 million in revenue. And we found that we were kind of stuck at about that size. We were finding it really hard to grow, adding $3,000 a month clients, given the churn. And we found that as a client grew from $3,000 a month to $15,000 a month or larger, no matter how great a job we did servicing them, we didn't really have an offering that was designed. So we got together as a management team, and we decided that we were going to really focus on expanding into the mid-market, companies with 100 to 1,000 or more employees. And we began a strategy to do that. And by 2020, 2021, we were approaching $20 million in revenue, over 70 employees. And we decided, we took a look around, we took a look at the number of the consolidation going on, and that a number of our competitors that had been similar sizes to us were leapfrogging us in both employee count, revenue, and also capabilities. And we felt that if we were going to continue to execute on our strategy of going into the mid-market, we needed a financial partner, and we needed to be able to do acquisitions and bring in great talent, great people, and great clients at a larger size than we were able to do on our own. As you mentioned, we've done 4 acquisitions in the past. All of those were sub-$1 million acquisitions. They were great, brought on great talent, great clients, and 3 of the 4 were what I would call successful. But that wasn't going to get us to where we wanted to be or allow us to bring on the talent.
Interesting. And that's going back to just the Lloyd Group. So
just the Lloyd Group, yeah.
So let's pick up where you started to take that next step to get money, get backing to go to the next level.
Yep. So if you look around 2019, 2020, we had a retreat. I think it was actually probably 2020, because I believe it was outside. We did it in my backyard because it was COVID time. I think sitting around with heaters on, if I remember correctly, so that we could have a COVID meeting. And we talked about our strategy here. And one of the things I did, which not everybody does, but it worked out well for us, is I involved our leadership team in the process. And I can talk a little bit later about some of the positives of that and some of the challenges of that. But I think overall, it really led to a better path and a better outcome. But as a leadership team, we set 3 real goals if we were going to run a process. And initially, we were focused on, this was 2019, 2020, we were focused on becoming a platform. We did look at some of the existing platforms, but it was pretty early on. And we're looking for a really good PE partner. And we set three criteria. The first was a reasonable return for the stakeholders, right? We've taken a lot of risk as owners of the business and shareholders of the business, and we deserve to have some reward and return on our investment from that. The second was better opportunity for our Lloydians or our people. They'd worked really hard to build the business, and we weren't going to do a deal unless it really offered better opportunities for the people on the team and the people that had helped build the business. And the third was a better experience for clients. If we weren't going to give them a better experience by having a deeper bench, better level of expertise, ability to service them and really meet their needs and provide value add better than we could do on our own, then why do the transaction? So we set those three criteria, and we began on a journey that we thought would probably take a year to 18 months, but ended up taking 3 years, where we spoke to over 100 different potential transactions, either PE firms or existing platforms. We ended up getting probably over that period of time, slightly over 20 letters of intent from people we thought were interesting, and actually going through the transaction process twice and backing out of the transaction process as we got close before we finally found a partner that we decided to move forward with. And one of the things about bringing your leadership team in is you get everybody going on a path, and you as a CEO and leader need to make a decision that it's not the right opportunity, you need to back out. And that was one of the challenges with our leadership team, because we were gung-ho, we were moving, we were working really hard. We stopped and we said, okay, this isn't right for us. And bringing the team along on that was not an easy thing. Not an easy thing to do, but I think developmental for us as a team and overall the right path.
What I'd like, before I go on to kind of talking about how you made the decision to go with who you went with, what was your structure like? So you talked about your leadership team at Lloyd Group. Were there multiple owners? Was this leadership team like what was the kind of the makeup?
Initially, my wife and I were the sole owners of the Lloyd Group. Our person who ended up becoming our president and been with us since starting out on the help desk, a gentleman named Brian David. We let him buy into the company back in 2009 and again in 2013. And then one of the things we did when we began this process, which I highly recommend and I wish I'd done sooner, was we did what was called an F reorganization, where we went from becoming an S corporation to an LLC so that we could have multiple classes of shareholders. And we took 10 people within Lloyd, including the people on our extended leadership team. So our primary leadership team, which included the person who ran operations, person who ran sales, person who ran people or HR, and our overall extended leadership team, which also included finance and a number of other areas. And we gave them all what's called profits interest, or B shares in the company. And we also extended that out to 4 Lloydians who were not on the leadership team, but had really been with us for a really long time, were tremendous cultural carriers, and had a lot to do with the company getting to where it was. And the nice thing about that structure is there's no need for anybody to buy in. There's no tax impact to the people that become shareholders at the time. And if nothing ends up happening, they never have a tax impact. It never costs them anything. But when a transaction does happen, those shares become A shares, similar to the shares of the original owners. They're able to roll those shares in, or they're able to exit with those shares. Our team rolled in, which was smart because I think they'll all do extremely well off of this. So we took a percentage of the company, we set it aside for those team members.
Well, let's talk about your decision to go with NCV rather than become a platform yourself.
Yeah, sure. So it was interesting because we looked at one transaction where it would have been a platform, one where we would have been added to a platform. And then when it came in, we signed an LOI with a network coverage, NCV, on November 8th of 2023, and we actually closed on the deal December 18th, so 6 weeks later, which is one of the things I'm happy to share is how did we get a deal done in 6 weeks,
Yeah,
which
it's pretty
was
fast.
not easy. And the two we'd walked away from had both taken months, and that was and they say time kills deals.
Yeah.
And I agree. That was my experience. I'm glad we took our time on those because we knew what to look for when we did the deal with NCB. But on November 7th, we had 5 LOIs, two of which we were very serious about. One would have made us a platform, and one was the NCV. And it came down to the last hour because financially they pretty much matched each other. So the first aspect, I felt that both would be great opportunities for the team. I knew that with backing, we as a platform, we could do a better job for our clients. But I felt that we could do a better job for our clients and offer more opportunity to our team faster by going with network coverage than by becoming a platform. They'd had a year head start on us from building capabilities that we would have needed to build. They had a set of strengths that we didn't have, and we had a set of strengths they didn't have. And if you take a look at the post-transaction, we're now 4 months. Actually, as of tomorrow, we will be 4 months. Well, December, I guess it's 5 months technically, post-transaction, January 4th. And within 3 months after the transaction was done, the new leadership team is half people from Lloyd and half people from network coverage. Because we filled each other's gaps. And if we'd become a platform, we would have needed to go out and find a network coverage or another Lloyd. And that might have taken us a year or two because there's fewer and fewer out there. And as a founder, the name Lloyd is my middle name. It's my kid's middle name. There's a lot associated with it, and I really care about the people. But the right thing was setting ego aside, setting a desire to become a platform aside. And the right thing to do for our team and our clients was to become part of network coverage. So we made the decision to move forward with network coverage as opposed to becoming a platform. I think 3 or 4 years ago, it might have been a different decision. We were earlier in what's going on in the market. But that was a decision we made today.
How did you know it was the right decision?
So, I think we all know in a few years, but I feel that we've made the right decision, right? It's been 4 or 5 months. I mentioned a little bit earlier sitting in on the first board meeting, and seeing our two teams work together and how well they work together. The second is, we've got a founders council and interacting with the other founders that have brought their companies into this, and being able to collaborate and work together has just been an unbelievable experience. But I think the two things, and we've had great reactions from clients, but I think the two things were an email that I got from one of our top team members a few weeks ago. We had a client that had a major cyber incident, and it wasn't on anything we monitored. It was actually on their customer-facing portal, which we didn't manage, but we got called in to help with it. And after a week of working on this, I got an email from one of our top team members who said, "I want to thank you because you made the right marriage. You took a long time to do it, but this week showed how strong that marriage is because we were better than we could have been on our own. And it was working with people that thought similarly to us. And we really provided extra value to our clients. We all learned from each other, and it was a better overall. It was not a great experience for anybody, but it was a better overall experience because of the decision that we made. And that was number one. And then the second was a week or so ago, I got a text from one of our leadership team members, who's just an incredibly talented individual, started out with us in scheduling on the service desk and purchasing, and now runs our operations. And he said to me, "Next week, I'm going to be leading a strategic retreat offsite for 13 people. And if you and the rest of Lloyd had not invested in me the way you invested in me, and then made this decision and given this opportunity, I wouldn't be prepared to do this, and I wouldn't be doing it." And I can't tell you how much I'm enjoying it and how much I appreciate it and how much I'm continuing to learn. And those two communications from the team to me said, okay, we made, signs are we've made the right marriage. We're still in a little bit of the honeymoon stage. I'd have to be, I'd be foolish not to recognize that, but it's not just my data points and my feeling. There's a lot out there, and I'm feeling stronger and stronger about this every day.
That's awesome. Great to hear. And you took a lot of time to do this. So I mean, 3 years is a long time to go through, and you did it. You took a long time, but then you did it really quick in the
Yeah.
end.
Yeah.
I bet there's a lot of lessons learned within there. Love to hear
There
that.
was a tremendous amount of lessons. And some of them as to how to structure your financials and things like that are actually things we're going to be talking about at the M&A day and some of the locals when we come out and share. But I think the four things that are relatively easy to share and would be extremely useful for your listeners are before you sign an LOI and go into exclusivity if possible. Ask if you can read or your attorneys can read the LLC agreement for the underlying entity. Because people will make a lot of promises to you and they'll tell you how the business is run. But when you take a look at the actual underlying documents that define the governance of that organization, you'll really get an insight as to what it'll be like day two. Because when push comes to shove, those are the things that really dictate whether it's how somebody gets exited, how people buy in. Really, there's a lot in that underlying LLC agreement. I had the opportunity to read a few. And if somebody's not necessarily willing to show you that LLC agreement ahead of time, it can also tell you a lot. But even if, and there are some reasons not to, if they're not willing, one of the first things after you've signed an LOI is to get a copy of that. You're doing diligence on each other. They're just not doing diligence on you. You've got to make the right marriage. The second is, if possible, have them do a quality of earnings prior to signing an LOI. You can do one relatively quick in a week if you can. We did that, and it sped up the work afterwards. And there was no real need to discuss numbers post because we had assured everybody was comfortable that the numbers were what they were. And we're in place. And once you've signed an LOI and you get into exclusivity, it can drag on and on as that continues to happen because a lot of the discussions become around the LLC agreement or that. A lot of people say diligence. Due diligence is a lot of work. Due diligence is not anywhere near as much work as disclosures. That is the thing that kills everybody at the end of a deal. Disclosures are where you basically supply to the acquirer, whether it's a PE firm or a platform. These are all of our contracts. These are all of our vendor agreements. This is every document we've ever signed. These are all the employee agreements. These are all of this. And going through that list and getting that, because it's also something that's living because you're running a business as it's happening, is a tremendous amount of work. And you only get one chance to do it right. So one of the things we did was we not only build up our diligence data library, but from disclosure. And from the time we went from our first deal on, we kept that alive. And every time a new document came up, wherever we were, we posted it up there. So we had everything. So we didn't need to start searching afterwards. And the last, which I spoke about already, is I can't recommend more than I already did, including your team membership, key employees and team members in ownership. Profits interest was just, I wish I'd done it years ago.
So now that you've caught us up, right? We've gone through your journey from Lloyd Group to becoming part of Network Coverage, and now you're the strategic advisor to Network Coverage. Let's talk about what you're doing now, what you guys are looking for as network coverage.
Yeah. So my role is technically to advise and consult to the board and the leadership team. Honestly, I have a lot to learn from the people on the network coverage leadership team and the network coverage board. So it's I don't know how much advising and consulting it is as or giving as much it is as getting. It's a great experience to collaborate. But a big part of that is really helping to make decisions about who are the right partners to continue to bring into the company. And that's around deciding where our strategy is going forward and also who those people are. And we really want to be, the MSP, the platform of choice for MSPs who are looking to offer opportunities to their team members to grow a better experience for their clients, and the MSP of choice for mid-market companies. So, if you look at that, we're really looking for companies. Well, let me start with the non-financial. We're really looking for a founder mentality. We want people that want to stay involved, that want to, maybe don't, I'm not involved on the day-to-day anymore, though we have founders that have joined that are. But I wanted to stay involved because I believe in the vision of the company, and I'm not just looking to retire. So we're looking for people that are going to contribute. We're looking for great teams beyond those. There's tons of opportunity as we grow. I brought up the fact that 50% approximately of the network coverage leadership team now is people from Lloyd. 50% is people from network coverage. But there's still tons of room. So we're looking for people with really talented teams, because we have lots of opportunities we need to fill, and we'll grow together. And similar to our decision to go with network coverage, what I found is the leadership team within network coverage also said to you, go aside. So people have jumped over other people or moved around because everybody's taken the right seat on the bus with a long-term goal, and that'll continue to happen. And then culture. What's their retention look like of not just their clients, which is a financial metric, but their people? What's their glass door look like? What are people saying? What are their employees saying about them? What are people that are interviewing saying about them? So those are things that are really important to us. When I sit on a call with somebody that might become part of our family, I say, okay, what would it be like being on the Founders Council with this person? What are they going to contribute? What are we going to contribute to them? How does it really match up? From a financial standpoint, we're really looking for companies with 4 million to 20 million in revenue. We'll take a look at the outlier that's larger. We'll take a look at the outlier that's smaller, but it's not really our focus. There could be somebody super special that's got a vertical focus that's just really going to add to us, and we can do a lot for it. It's an incredible team that's less than 4 million, but they're rare. And a company have to be really special from our standpoint to do a deal much larger than that. 10% plus EBITDA, depending on the size of the company. We believe that one of the metrics is 15% at a minimum that MSP should be generating, but we rise people take costs on. How's their revenue retention? What's their growth like? What is their average MRR per client unit? We're not super interested in $500 a month clients or a lot of clients. We really we're looking at people that are focused on bringing on substantial clients where there's value added, and a lack of client concentration. But like I said, a higher average MRR. So we're looking at something, we're not looking at something with one or two really large clients and then a bunch of smaller clients. We're looking for some distribution. I would say probably no client more than 8 to 10%. I think our largest client at any given time was around 7%. Maybe they jumped up every once in a while. But those are the key financial metrics that we're looking for, and the non-financial.
Adam, that was a great interview today. Loved learning about you and your company and your journey here, and I look forward to having you back on the show again to explore more topics with you. For now, can you tell everybody how they can get in touch with you if they're interested in reaching out to you guys for potential acquisition?
Happy to have somebody reach out for potential acquisition. Also, just happy to talk to somebody about our experiences if there's something that they, have more questions about. Always happy to help people, good people in the industry. You can reach out to me at adam.eisman, adam.eiseman at Lloyd Group, LLOYDGROUP.com. And you can also now reach out to me at aeisman at netcov.com, AEISEMAN at netcov.com. So feel free to reach out to me at either of those, and really appreciate the time, Mike. It was great chatting with you.
My pleasure. Thank you for being here. And for everyone watching, we thank you and tune in every Monday on the Kaseya YouTube channel for another episode of M&A Unpacked. And if you're not yet a member of the M&A Concierge platform for MSPs, make sure to apply today. It's an amazing platform. It is 100% free for both buyers and sellers. See you next time, everyone.